Why don't we have the owners play half the games? There would be no money if not for the players. Let's call it what it is. There would be no money. 30 more owners can come in and nothing will change. These guys go, the game will change, so let's stop pretending. She also objected to a salary cap, saying, I don't know of any space other than the world of sports where there's this notion that we will artificially deflate what someone's able to make just because. It's incredibly un-American. My DNA is offended by it. All right, flamethrowers from Michelle Roberts there. Very strong words. Skip, what do you make of this?
Flamethrowing is precisely what just happened.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith, I love the fresh perspective, the bold perspective that Michelle Roberts is bringing. And I have to believe that NBA owners around the country were a little nervous yesterday as they look down the road 2 years from now when collective bargaining negotiations will or could open. I love it that Michelle Roberts did not grow up in the NBA. She has not been conditioned to accept that there are sort of undoable givens in negotiations. She's saying it offends her DNA, it offends mine, that there is a salary cap, that there are max contracts. I am so with her on this. Now, is she a little naive yet to the process, the realities of the process? Maybe. But I love the fact that she's coming in from the outside with courage and wisdom to say, this is just flat out wrong. Or, quote, let's stop pretending. She said she laughed when Adam Silver says that 1/3 of the owners are losing money. She says it's ludicrous. Well, bully for her. And yet we're heading down the road again toward a concept that I know a lot of the players have dealt with before in the last negotiating period. And you speak to this, Mr. Smith. Would these players truly, realistically consider starting their own league? Because that's where she's heading with this discussion. Are they capable of it? Would they be able to do all the dirty work that does go into creating a league and running a business of that magnitude? Is that possible? Because if they want to make real money, that's how you could make real money. Her bottom line point is, are the owners going to play basketball? They can't play basketball. The players are the product, and the players aren't getting paid at the level they should be getting paid as the product. There's nothing like the NBA, the stars of the NBA. So would those players sort of secede from this union? Would they start their own league? Because that's where Michelle Roberts, I think, is heading with this discussion.
My direct answer to your question, Skip Bayless, is an emphatic no. They would not do it. They're not capable of doing it. Now, that sounds incredibly insulting, and for that I apologize, because I don't mean it to be insulting. I'm just leaning on history and the facts that I know them to be as a person that you know personally, Skip, in terms of talking to me, that I've been covering collective bargaining for the better part of the last 18 years. This is one of the things in terms of my claim to fame, in terms of the lockouts that I've had to cover. I'm incredibly familiar with the position that she's taking. It's not new. It is bold. She is to be respected. I find her to be thus far very impressive. But at the same time, there are some words that lean towards unrealistic that enters the mind's eye, if I may say so. I don't want to cast any aspersions on her because she's incredibly impressive. We know her credentials as a trial lawyer and what have you. This is labor negotiations. This is collective bargaining. And at this, she is not necessarily an expert. Does it mean she can't do the job? Absolutely not. She might end up doing a sensational job. But the one thing that we know as a fact is that she cannot do this without the support of the players. So let's analyze that support. The NBA recently agreed to a deal with TNT, ABC/ESPN, 9 years, $24 billion. Essentially, the $900 million annual take the NBA was getting from the television networks on an annual basis as of 2016, 2017 will escalate to approximately $2.3 to $2.6 billion annually. One of the first things you have to notice is that LeBron James is the first guy to come out. LeBron James is that new dude. He is that dude from the ilk of the Jim Browns, the Bill Russells, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, and others from the 60s. This is who LeBron James is in terms of his voice, how it resonates, how impactful and powerful it is, and his willingness to address these issues without timidity at all. And he is to be applauded for that. But you also have to remember, Skip Bayless, that LeBron James has the right to opt out of his deal after this season because he can. He has the right to opt out of his deal after in 2 years because he can. He's the one guy that can pull that off. Very few others can do it, Skip, because the money that they're scheduled to make on the NBA, they're not making off the court, regardless of what endorsement deals you see them making. LeBron James is making that kind of money. Kevin Durant has possibilities because of the $265 million deal Nike matched that Under Armour made to him. But very few guys are pulling in that kind of paper. So there's a discrepancy that's there, that's existing, that's palpable, and you can't get around that. And when you consider the fact that the new deal is going to enable players to go from averaging $5 million a year in terms of the league average salary to doubling that to over $10 million, and you see the Carmelo Anthonys and others cashing in from now, you're going to have a small elite few that if they hold out, they're not going to get their money at a time when this is their last opportunity to get that money. It's the last big contract Carmelo Anthony is getting. LeBron James, when he signs a max deal for 5 years or whatever, that's his last opportunity. The guys on the come up, okay, you're not going to want to jeopardize what you have the potential to make. And that's where it becomes a bit problematic because it's hard to keep everybody aligned with the same goals in mind when there's such a division that exists an ocean wide as it pertains to the monetary value one has over the other.